It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Dark Revolution Brewery, and it's a can of their Mr. Scooty. Now this is a cold IPA coming in at 6.2% ABV in a 440 milliliter can. It's been produced with Pilsner yeast. On the cold side, Idaho 7 hops, and on the hot side, Motueka, Roeka and Citra. So what does all of that mean? Well, we'll get into it in a moment, but I want to get the can out into a glass and see what we get. I absolutely love the can art on Dark Revolution beers. I think they are absolutely fantastic. The beers, all of the beers, the cans have kind of got that kind of black look to them with that silver drawing. It's really kind of iconic. I mean, this has got a lot of kind of Iron Maiden written all over it, I think. It's pretty cool to look at. Described as crisp, dry and fruity. Let's get it out then into a glass and see what we get. So another style of IPA then that's looking to become popular. We have had New England IPA, of course. Well, let's start off with American IPA, shall we? Or we can go further back if you like. English IPA was the starting point of IPA. It was produced, a lot of you know this, so I'll be quick. It was produced quite strongly to be taken to India, where they hopped it and they made it stronger with the alcohol by volume to make sure that it lasted the journey across the sea. And of course, it lasted the warm weather in India. Of course, then 1970s, 1980s was the birth of American IPA, hoppy, bitter beers, and then you had big IBU beers, loads of big IBU beers, like 100 IBU, smacking bitterness IPAs. That was a thing at around 2012 time. First of all, I'm going to pause. We've got a one finger Whitehead. Good levels of carbonation rolling around the glass there, and it's a straw-ish coloured hazy IPA with there's no sediment here at all in the glass, but it looks very good. I wanted to do the aroma before the head dissipated too much while I was talking about American IPA and what IPA in general. So then, after the big craze of heavily hopping, heavily bittering IPAs with lots and lots of bitterness, then we had the kind of New England IPA. And I feel we've been in this New England IPA, hazy, loads of flavour in the middle, little bit of bitterness on the back end. We've been in that now for a long time. A long, long time. There was another style that tried to beat down the door of New England IPA, but it didn't work. And it was never going to work because it was never really a very nice IPA style to start with. And it was Brut IPA. I found Brut IPAs very dry, very kind of boring. So we had a whole year of kind of the prediction of Brut IPA was going to be the next big thing, and it kind of fell on its face a little bit. But big enough that Tesco took a Brut IPA once in the UK. Now we've got this cold IPA. So, cold IPA. It's generally almost a cross of a few things. So, from what I gather with a cold IPA is that they use Pilsner malt. So it's a crisp. It's very much like a Brut IPA, where it's very crisp and probably very dry. But they've hopped it differently. They put some hops in the boil kettle. That's the hot side we were talking about just now. And they put some hops in the fermenter, which is the cold side. So you're not kind of like getting all those hot, like when you make a cup of tea. If you leave the tea bag in too much, you get all of that kind of astringency from the tea bag. That's generally, in a nutshell. I mean, if you want to look more about cold IPA, have a look on the internet. I mean, I'm no expert when it comes to cold IPA. Aroma. but it got familiarities for me. For me, it's got familiarities with Brut IPA. There's something about it. I think it's the dryness that reminds me of a Brut IPA. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. It's nice. It's nice. The Pilsner malt offers a big crispness. I think it's about to... It's getting... I mean, it's flipping 9:20 in the morning here. Middle of winter, but it looks like it's getting dark. It looks like it's about to absolutely lash it down any minute. Really flavoursome, but really clinical. It's got a lovely dryness and a spicy pepperiness from that kind of Pilsner malt coming through. Very clinical flavours. But then it's got tangerine and grapefruit, orange peel, passion fruit in the middle. There's a little bit of bitterness on the back end. There's lots going on here. There's lots going on. I don't know if it's enough to be able to push past New England IPA. I think it's a lot better than a Brut IPA. It shares familiarities for me with a Brut IPA, but it's a lot better than a Brut IPA. This cold IPA. There's a nice level of sweetness to begin with. There's a nice level of bitterness on the back end. Carbonation pushes the beer on the inside of the mouth, releases more of that flavour. It's a really interesting one. I think New England IPA is, if you want to drink an IPA, I think New England IPA is the kind of, it's almost like the holy grail, isn't it? It's almost like the evolution of beer, or IPA brewing, peaked, I think, with New England IPA. The fact that you can get so much juicy flavours from hops, and there's next to no bitterness, and it's so very soft and drinkable and lovely. As much as brewers want to come up with the next big thing, I think it's going to be very, very difficult to get past just how good New England IPA is. I mean, if you want something a little bit different, if you want a clean, crisp, clinical, kind of slightly spicy, refreshing IPA with some bitterness, then this cold IPA is definitely worth looking at. It's definitely worth looking at. It's definitely worth investigating. It's definitely worth trying if you're a beer lover. But will it be the next big thing? I'm not so sure. I am not so sure. I think Dark Revolution have done a really good job with this, though. They really have. It's really crisp. It's really lovely. It's really refreshing. 6.2% ABV. You get really next to nothing in terms of kind of that alcohol. It's really well kind of brewed, this beer, that you get next to no alcohol at all in terms of the flavour. Unfiltered, unpasteurised for maximum flavour, stored upright, and it might have some natural sediment in the bottom of the can. Dark Revolution, Salisbury, UK. I was there a few months ago when I did my Salisbury trip. In fact, I came back with this beer. It's been on my shelf for a month or two. And what a company. What a company. So whenever I go down to Salisbury now, I'm going to beg my my family members to go to Dark Revolution and sit and maybe have a few burgers and have a few beers. That could be the answer. But it's very, very nice. Very, very nice. Very, very nice brewery. Very, very nice beers. Very, very nice people. So, my rating for Mr. Scooty. I know we talked a lot about cold IPA. If I should have maybe talked about the beer a little bit more, I do apologise. But it's good. It's good. It looks good. It's a well-behaved looking beer. Great aromas. Great taste. I like that enough to give it a Stone the Crows 9 out of 10. So 9 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! Cheers.